Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prose podcast, your go-to source for the art, the craft, and the business of publishing. I'm Tally Shamus, an agented writer and a literary intern.
And I'm Lauren Kahn, an author and literary agent. As former attorneys and book lovers, we're pulling back the curtain on an industry known for being opaque.
And today we are absolutely thrilled to welcome literary agent Jenna Satterthwaite onto the show to discuss building a successful career in publishing. Jenna reached agenting sideways, as many do. She didn't know agenting existed until she wrote her first novel back in 2014 and learned she had to do this thing called querying. Fast forward many years during which she wrote many novels and became agented herself, and she had an aha moment. Agenting was the nexus where her 2 decades of business experience in sales, pitching, project management, and contract negotiation met her decade of bookish experience. After completing internships with Liza Dawson Associates and Reese Literary, Jenna joined Storm as an agent in 2024. She's looking to represent authors over the course of their careers who are passionate about their work and willing to arm themselves with the tenacity that it takes to succeed in the world of publishing. She's an editorial agent who wants to help make your manuscript the best and most sellable version of itself, and then pitch the heck out of it to the right editors. Jenna is here to help you navigate this career that can unfold in so many different ways, advocate for you, and seek your best interests. She's not afraid of multi-genre writers. She's one herself. And she's ready to try and break your name into as many genres and age groups as you want to write. You are her brand. Omnivorous in her taste, Jenna is seeking to represent adult, young adult, and middle grade commercial fiction in most genres, graphic novels from middle grade to young adult nonfiction, and very select picture books. Jenna is also fully bilingual in English and Spanish, so dual language projects are most welcome. Jenna lives in Chicago with her family, and when she's not agenting, reading, or writing, you can find her trying a Milk Street recipe, making music in living rooms with friends, or plotting when she can get sushi next. So, Jenna, thank you so much for joining us. We are so thrilled to have you here.
I'm thrilled to be talking to both of you. We're going to have so much fun. I can already feel the energy.
It's going to be a party. Yeah. Okay, so why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your journey writing, your journey becoming an agent, just generally your publishing journey?
I'm going to try to summarize it because it's a very long journey and y'all don't want to hear me talk about it for an hour. So my writing journey was, I started in my early 30s, maybe 31 or so, maybe 30. I had lost a pregnancy, was very sad. I started writing to kind of escape. It was new. I mean, I'd always written, but I'd never tried to write a novel. And the feeling of full escapism that writing gave me was so magical that I became permanently addicted. I was like, oh, it's like a free drug. Free. And with no side effects other than like me disappearing for hours and hours in my bedroom. So fast forward, I queried 4.5 years over many, many, many manuscripts before finally signing with Lauren Beaker from Fine Print. And then we went on sub with 5 different projects that died and then sold to 6. So all of this is 8.5 years of time of writing, querying, being on submission with my agent, getting rejected, all like tallied up. It was over 800 rejections between agents and editors over the course of that almost decade. We finally made a book deal, sold my debut to HarperCollins, which was very exciting. So I have 2 books out with them. And then I was able to sell a book to Transworld, which is a PRH UK imprint, and to Source Books in the US. And then I have another book this summer with them again. So basically 4 books on the author side, but many books that died and live on my computer. And then on the agent side, it was also motivated by grief. It's so funny because I only recently put it together that I started writing from a place of grief and I decided to become an agent from a place of grief. So apparently my road to publishing has been through tremendous sorrow, which I find, I don't know, just kind of funny. But I had lost my youngest sister to cancer and was about to turn 40. And I had a come to Jesus moment of like, gosh darn, I have never done a job that I enjoyed ever since I started working. I'm the breadwinner for our family. My husband is a stay-at-home. We have 3 kids. And I've just been like working steady as she goes since forever. And I did take some amount of pleasure in paying the bills, right? Like that's a worthy thing to do. And getting to choose a job you like is a privilege, let's be honest. Like most of the world gets by on doing heinous jobs that suck.
Yeah.
So I think as I approached 40 and was like doing my little midlife crisis life review, I was like, what do I want to do? Maybe I should try. We'll just try. Fast forward through multiple internships, and I became an agent. And here I am starting my third year and absolutely loving it. I have not quit my day job. We are still day jobbing, we are still authoring, and we are agenting. But I think it feels like time has actually multiplied rather than become more crunched. I feel more expansive than I did prior to starting because it's something that I have tremendous passion for, which I think is all agents, at least when they start. Some do become disillusioned down the road. I'm not there, like knock on wood. But it's just a thrilling job. It's so wonderful. I mean, I could talk for hours about that. I won't. It's wonderful. Trust me. The end. There's my story.
It's all so full circle, all of this. I had a very similar kind of I'm so grateful there was no grief driving it, but a moment where I was just like, what am I doing? Like
Right.
I'm about to have my second child. Like, what am I doing with my career? I've been a lawyer now for 7 years, and did a lot of soul searching, and we spoke, and you were so amazing and such an incredible mentor to
Aw.
me. And and then my internship was fabulous, and I was like, I love this. I want to keep going, and I am so happy. I feel like Tali knows every single day. I feel like I'm just like, this is the right thing. Like I did the right
Same.
thing. I love it so much. Like every day something happens that excites me. It's been amazing.
I love that. And the question that you said, what am I doing, is such a valuable question for anyone to ask, whether it's, you're thinking about a career change or like you're writing and it's been years and you're getting rejections. I think asking yourself, what am I doing? And really examining that honestly is vital. And the answer could be confirmation that you're already like, what you're doing is the right thing, but it forces you to kind of ask the why. Why is it right? What am I getting out of this? Like, do a little cost benefit. What am I putting in? What am I getting out? Where are the struggles? And I feel like it's just one of those important life questions that you must ask every so often in your life. Not too constantly, because then, you don't have time to like do things, right? But I love that question. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. I think career pivots are a big conversation on this show, I think, too, because we have so many authors come on and this is like their second career. But, Tali and I we're both practicing attorneys and did a major pivot here. And I don't know, I'm not going to speak for Tali, but I'm so grateful that I took the leap every single day. And I think she's nodding. I think she is too. And it's not often you get to take the leap and be like, oh, this was right. Like this was exactly what I'm meant to be doing. And it's pretty exciting. So thank you. And if listeners, if you don't follow Jenna's Substack, it was her Substack, How to Become an Agent, 3-part series. I'm telling you, that's what did it for me. I did you have an analysis, looking at your likes, your dislikes, your skills. And I did that analysis and I was like, okay, yes, tell me what to do next. And I went to her next.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. Don't make me emotional. I'm a crier.
So, but you're just truly, you're such an expander for both of us as a writer, as an agent, as a mom, like so many things. And so I mean, there's so many different directions we can go in this episode, but we do have to ask. I mean, you just kind of described all the different things you're doing. How do you balance it? I know you have your husband's help, but I mean, that has a lot to juggle, like with a full-time job.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, without going into too much about my husband, he does do a lot. Like when I decided to jump into the internship, obviously we had conversations about that. And I was like, do you realize that if I jump into this, which I want to, I will not have any time for anything that's not essential. And he was like, yeah, got you. So at that point, he was doing most of the home stuff, obviously, but I still like cooked sometimes. Like I was the popcorn specialist. The kids eat a lot of popcorn and I knew just how to make it. There were like a lot of random things that were mine, and those have all gone away. He is now the popcorn specialist. He has improved upon my skills in that area. I mean, I have not done a load of laundry in years, plural. I have not grocery shop. Like I am not doing anything non-essential right now. So I don't actually like that, and I don't want to stay there. It makes me very sad to not be cooking. So actually 2026, literally in January, I was like, okay, we need to return to a little more balance here. I had my like hard start, like, foot on the gas pedal. I need to start agenting hard because I'm 42 at this point. I was 40 when I started, or 41, can't keep track. No, 40. Whatever. And I didn't have any time to waste. I want to go fast. But now that I've gotten going fast, I need to actually slow down at times. And it's not so much risk of burnout for me. I'm quite in touch with myself and I can regulate that part. Like, thankfully, I'm old. I feel like I'm old enough that I've learned some tips and tricks to kind of not go down that path. But it's more just, I don't want to miss out on the joy of cooking, right? Or of spending a little extra time, like watching a movie with the kids, a movie that I don't like, but I'm going to get the snuggles, right?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I've sacrificed time with the kids, but I have sacrificed some things that it's time to take back. So I feel fine about that. There are times of sacrifice, but they can't last too long, or we end up living a deprived life. So I'm constantly rebalancing. I guess I don't know if that's an answer to how I do it, but thinking of it as seasons.
Yeah.
Of like, we're going to go hard for a while and it's going to mean this. And we're going to have some family conversations and be prepared and da-da-da. But it's not going to be forever. And then we're going to re-regulate and reassess and rebalance. So it's a constant juggling, not just of tasks, but of priorities.
Right.
But I think that's fine. I think that's just life, even if you don't have as many jobs as I do. I think we're always kind of like the question that you asked earlier, Lauren, like, what am I doing? Right? That's a little bit part of it. Like, what am I doing with my time? And is this long-term healthy or not? And if it's not long-term healthy, how much can I afford to do it before I really need to stop?
That's completely fair, and I think that it's just a constant kind of reevaluation of where am I, what am I doing, and do I want to keep going along
Yeah.
this path? So, well,
Right.
I want to go back a little bit and ask about your internships because I realized we never got to that.
Yeah, so I did two. I think I talked about this in my 3-part Substack series, but I could not find an internship to save my life. And it was so frustrating because I don't think I came into the process with a big head, but I did come into it knowing, like, I have 20 years in the corporate world. I have a lot of skills. I've been very successful. I should be able to get an unpaid internship, like, without too much struggle, right? Oh no. Oh no. That is not how it works. I could not get responses to my emails. One of the responses that I got was like, yeah, we're doing an internship this summer. It's in person, full-time, unpaid. You have to come into the office. And I was like, excuse me? And how am I supporting myself during this unpaid, full-time, in-person summer? Like, no, obviously that was a no. But it was kind of a lot of that where I'm like, oh, wow, there is a lot of ask from some of these internships and not a lot of give. And I can't do those. So we moved on. And I ended up getting my first internship through a connection from my agent. She shared some names of people that she knew through her networks were looking for interns. And I sent my resume out and was able to get an interview with Rachel back from Liza Dawson. And, we spoke. It wasn't like a total shoe-in, but there was a connection needed first, right? And that frustrates me on behalf of people because I had an agent. I had someone I could tap. But a lot of people trying to break in don't have someone they can tap. Oh, and I don't know what the solution is, but someone should figure it out. Someone put that on your task list and let me know what you think up. So, yeah, I got that first one. It was like a 3-month, summer-long thing, that one actually was paid, which I
Oh,
didn't know up front. I
yeah.
was assuming it was unpaid. So yay. And it was very general. I did a lot of, actually, it was mostly reading. Did a lot of reading of partials and fulls and writing like reader reports. Got to be on some editor calls. Kind of my main question during that first internship was, can I realistically fit this in without putting a strain on everything else in my life and becoming miserable? You know, kind of back to the juggling the things.
Yep.
Can I sign clients and have the time to give them the attention and support that they'll be expecting, rightfully, when they sign with me? And the answer was yes. Like I said, it seemed like time multiplied rather than contracting. Like doing something that I love made it feel like the day had more hours in it somehow. It both went by faster and it felt like wider, which is weird. So after that, I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's get a job. But I could not find a job. Nobody would answer my emails. So I was like, all right, we'll find another internship in the meantime so I don't end up with some gap. I don't know. So I found another internship, also slightly through a connection. I was able to get my foot in the door. And that was a little more, I was working with like 3 different agents and also doing a lot of reader reports, some like line edits for their clients, various things. And at that point, I'm not learning anything new. I'm just pouring work with no remuneration. So I was struggling a little bit with some, I don't know if bitterness. Bitterness is a strong word, but you know, that kind of like it's a little thorn in the side.
Yeah.
I'm too old. I don't want to do this anymore. So I felt very excited to get some bites finally on the job front. I had some interviews across a few different agencies and was fortunate to get an offer from Storm. I felt very picky during the job finding process about how much they paid their agents. That was a priority for me. And so at Storm, you know, the agency takes the traditional 15%, I get 10%.
Wow.
And that is on the high end of what agents get. It's not unusual, but on the generous standard, if that makes sense. But one of the other agencies that was starting to move forward with me prior to Storm, the pay rate was offensively small, like 3 point something percent. I won't name who it was.
Yeah, that's absurd.
And I just remember being like, and it was for the first year. The first year you get this much. And I was just like, hell no. Again, I feel too old for this. I'm 40. Like at the time, you know, I've had wage discrimination my whole life at various companies that I've worked for, whereas an entry level, or, you know, when I was like 22, as an entry level woman, I made a certain amount. And then an entry level man came in right after me and made like 50% more than I did, like stuff like that. So I've been dealing with that as a woman, as a professional woman for 2 decades. And if I wanted agenting to be my happy place, I wasn't going to start out feeling like I'd been treated unfairly. That would just sour the whole thing. So I walked away from that. And they did too. Like, it's not like you know, we were progressing towards kind of a formal situation, but I was pushing. I was like, this isn't a normal rate. I've investigated and I would like to start higher. And the owner of the agency was like, well, what have you found? And I was like, I'll tell you, this agency pays this. And I had done so much research because at that point I knew a lot of agents and had a network. I was like, they pay this, they pay this, they pay this. So it's not standard. And I was trying to be like kind, but very upfront. And didn't want to hear it. She was like, well, the other agents started there, so it's not fair to start you any higher. And I remember thinking, oh, you think fairness is about treating everyone unjustly. So we don't see eye to eye ethically. I mean, I did not say that to her. I was very like diplomatic, but in my heart, I realized, darn, this isn't going to, even if she were to, at some point, I convince her somehow and strong arm her into a higher rate, I don't like her perspective and I won't work with that. And at the time, sorry, this is turning into a long story, but I had like taken a lot of calls with agents that I initiated. Like, hey, do you have to kind of learn, like what you did, Lauren, reaching out to me? I did the same thing when it was my time of discovering what the landscape was. And there was a very big agent who graciously gave me an hour. So helpful, learned so much. But I told her this story because I was in the middle of it. And she was like, you should have taken it. It's so hard to get in. you take that, you do that for a year, and then you make some sales, and then you move elsewhere, And I just remember being like, no. Like, I respect that, and I think that could be the right move for some people, but it's not the right move for me
Yeah.
at this point in my life and for what my goals are for this job. I want to come in with fair pay right off the bat, high priority on my list. So anyway, long story short, when I had the call with Storm with Vicky, I had already educated myself as to how they paid. I asked another agent and I was like, okay, we're good on that front. What else you got? And Vicky was so lovely. We clicked right away. Um, and then what really kind of was the cherry on top was, she sent me the agreement and offered me the job. And I was like, well, where's the clause about how if I leave the agency, you cut my commission? Like, what does my commission go down to if I leave? And she was like, what? No, no. If you leave Storm, your commission stays at 10% forever. Because I don't want to keep people here for fear of losing out on what they've earned. Some agencies do that. I could name them, but I won't. Some people leave with zero. If you walk away, zero. And their one is a big name agency, and it pisses me off to this day. And it keeps people kind of trapped. So when Vicky said that, I was like, yes, this is my partner. This is the kind of environment that I want to be in, where it's not about power plays, because I'm tired of that crap from the corporate world already. This is about, we're all going to work together. We're going to try to sell some awesome books. We're going to be fair. And if I'm unhappy, I'm going to communicate, because I want to stay. And Vicky wants me to stay because I want to stay. And so that's kind of like one of those virtuous cycles, right?
Yeah.
So I absolutely love Storm. I don't know how well known Storm is. It's kind of a medium size. There's 6 of us right now, agents. So we're not giant, but we're doing great work with a great environment. And I'm completely obsessed with this agency. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
That's such an awesome story. And I love that you touched on all of that, because when you're offering to a client, especially as a newer agent, it's really not just about you. It's about the agency. And if you're not happy where you are and you don't feel like this is a secure place for you, that's going to come through. And I'm obsessed with my agency too. And I feel like when I do offer calls, like, that is so evident. Like, and I say, and I think you would feel the same way, that I was selective for a reason, because I just want to work. Like, I'm not out here trying to bounce around to different agencies. I wanted to find my dream agency and just keep my head down and just go. And if I'm constantly like, well, I'm unhappy here, so now I'm going to start looking for a new job, and then I'm going to have to move my authors. Like, no one's happy at that point, And I understand there are reasons to leave at certain, pivots in your career. But for just starting out, you don't want to already be thinking like, well, okay, when am I making my next career move? You just want to work. Exactly. You just want to sell books. Like, that's it, And so that's kind of always my pitch too, because I had a few different like options. Like, I chose this for a reason, and I was very selective for a reason.
Yeah, I love that. And it's great to be able to be selective. I think, what I heard from the big agent who recommended that I just take that offer is also valid, though, that not everyone will have options. And there are times, I think, to evaluate and be like, yeah, I'm going to make a sacrifice for a brief amount of time with this kind of end goal in mind. So I do want to just circle back to say that's not a policy statement for everyone, but again, it's what am I doing? What are my goals? What's important to me? What will make this feel kind of bitter for me? And what will make it feel more joyful? And really prioritize being able to do it in the healthiest way you can.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you had mentioned going to Lauren, your agent, and asking her when you were just starting out looking into internships and whatnot. I had this fear because I'm also agented, but I worried, and I ended up just casting that fear aside and asking my agent anyway. But I worried that if I went to my agent and said, hey, can you recommend where I can look for internships, that would make me seem like I was less serious about the writing side. And I also worried that when I was applying to internships, if I told them that I was an agented writer, they would think I was less serious about pursuing a role as an agent. did you ever have that fear, and how did you deal with it?
No, I thought it was a benefit from the start. I was like, I'm an agent and author. Clearly, I know something about the business already. So
Yeah.
I assumed everyone would see it as a plus.
See, and I read your Substack and you're so candid and you share so much. And I had an inkling that, that wasn't necessarily an insecurity of yours like it was for me.
We all have different ones. I had mine, but that was not one of them. I think,
That's
honestly,
incredible.
almost every agent that I've talked to is a writer, whether they're agented and published themselves. Like, I'm thinking about my agency. Literally, they're all writers. Vicky,
Yeah.
the owner, she's a writer.
Amazing.
Lisa, an agent, is a published author. Michelle Hawk is a published author. Heather Cashman is a writer. She's agented. Like, Sheila, she's, I think, going to be published. I don't know if it's announced yet, but Sheila Fernley is also an author and an agent. Literally all of us write. And I don't think I know any agents who don't write. Like, I don't know. Do you guys both write? Yeah, you write, Tali.
We
and
both write.
Lauren, you write. You're agented.
The
right?
only agent I know who doesn't write is Carly Waters. And that's only because they mentioned it recently on the show.
But she also is such a went into publishing right out of college. I feel like
Very young.
some exactly. And so I only found out what an agent was because I was looking for one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So many of us
Yeah.
do. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I started to see what an agent does, I was like, oh, wait, maybe I want to do that. And, and then I do think use it, because in my interviews, that was always a selling point for me in my cover letters. I know this process, and I say it when I offer to authors all the time, and they love it. I would say vast majority of authors I've offered to are like, I love that you're an author. I love that you know what it's like to be on this side. And honestly, the only time I've gotten some questions about it was maybe during a couple agency interviews. They were like, how are you going to balance writing with agenting? And I basically always said I worked in Big Law, which is insane. The hours of Big Law are all-nighters. They're insane. And
I
also
slept
wrote
under
a
my
novel.
desk.
Right. It's and still found time to write a novel and get it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Big Law. Yeah. Get to work Friday, sleep the weekend under your desk, go back home Monday morning. Yep.
That's a no from me, but bless you for having done that. Gosh.
Sorry, Laura.
I never did that, but I did pull multiple all-nighters pregnant, which was a hell that I never want to revisit.
No.
But all that to say is I was able to also write a novel. So basically me trying to find time to agent and write, that wasn't even a question.
Yeah,
I could of course do both,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have gotten that question too from a couple authors on offer calls. What if, and specifically they've said, what if your authoring really takes off? And I've been like,
I've gotten that question too. Someone asked me if I went on a big off. That's what I said too. They're like, are you going to go? What if you go on book tour? And I was like, what? When's that going to happen? But okay.
I mean, even in the case of a book tour, which is so unlikely, there's such a tiny handful of people doing, sponsored book tours that their publisher sends them on. Even if that happens, that's a few weeks. I'm going to have my laptop with me. I know how to work on an airplane. I've done it a lot. So not a hindrance.
Not at all. I think the specific one I got was what if you're the next Colleen Hoover? And I'm like, well, thank you. That's so nice that you think that's possible for me.
Yeah.
But I think that's also kind of the advantage of being at a great agency, because if you do become the next, Sarah J. Maas, Rebecca Yarros, whoever, there are other wonderful agents. So it really is important, I think, as a writer, when you're choosing an agent, that you choose an agent, of course, that you connect with, that has passion for your project, but also that you're signing with an agency that will support you and support your agent to grow.
Yeah, I completely
100%.
agree.
And Lauren, your agent, is such a mentor to me. We actually co-agent a client, and I've learned so much from her. And that was really, really important to me, is signing with somebody that is going to teach me. And I think anyone listening that is interested in going into agenting, you have to make sure there's a mentor there that you can learn from.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing for, authors too. If you are talking to a brand new agent and there's no clear mentor for them, that to me is a little bit of a red flag, because we don't, I mean, there's so much I am just learning constantly. And
Yeah.
if I didn't have Peter and Lauren, the president and VP, to just call and then talk through stuff with, I would be very lost.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same. It's so important to have that older, wiser person in the industry who's been there and done that. And there's just
Yeah.
so many different situations. Like my first
Exactly.
year
That's what it is.
agenting, like the first 3 or 4 deals I have, there was some different situation or drama with each one of them. I won't get into specifics, but I remember my boss like FaceTiming with me and like laughing like, "Jenna, you have now seen 4 crazy situations, and guess what?
Yeah.
There's going to be more. But I think at this rate, by the end of the year, we'll have covered most of them. You'll be mostly good to go." But yeah, I mean, every deal is a little different,
Mhm.
and I have enough
Yeah.
deals at this point that yeah, very few of them evolve in the same way. And I think that's just not something someone can explain to you even, or give
Mm.
you a document that, lays it all out when you first start. It's something that you feel your way through with someone's guidance because it doesn't really make sense until you're in it and you're like, oh, I see what's happening here and, evaluating responses. Anyway, I'm being too vague for that to be too interesting to keep talking about, but you get my gist. Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
that
always
guiding person.
nuances. I can say recently had an example where an editor suggested something that I frankly didn't know what it meant, and so I
Hmm.
called up Peter and we talked through things and ended up
Huh.
leaving the call with an amazing strategy that now has led to a lot of other great things for my author. And it was just purely this like strategy that we came up
Hmm.
with. And I'm so excited about like more situations like that. I can't wait to have like more examples.
Hmm.
Honestly, on that note, I would love to know, selfishly, how you really came in and just like took off, because I'm always just reading your deals on Publishers Marketplace and I'm like,
Mhm.
Jenna, the woman that you are,
Oh,
this, like, you have had an unbelievable start. And I know it's just the
Yeah.
beginning.
yeah.
That's what's so crazy.
Yeah.
And how do you do it? Like, is that too vague of a question? But I just like, tell us your secrets.
It's not vague, and I'll try to expose. I don't mean I don't really have secrets. Well, I've never actually explained this out loud before, so I'm gonna do my best.
Okay.
But I guess for context, yeah, I'm entering my 3rd year. Um, I have 24 deals, not counting audio and translation at this point,
Wow.
Wow.
which is more than I expected to have. I had told myself if you can get 2 deals in the first year, and I got 10, and then I was like, okay, if you can get
Unreal.
like maybe the same in the second year, and I got 13, and then I've made a deal this year, which is yeah, number 24.
Wow.
So I think I've been surprised as well, which is wonderful, right? That doesn't always happen. Okay, so there are only so many components, right? There's first a matter of taste and instinct. So you're reading through queries and you're, reading manuscripts. I think being an author and having read widely, and especially read in the thriller space, for example, I can spot what feels to me like a thriller that could be on shelves. So I think part of success as an agent is just being in touch with what's out there and then being able to spot, oh, this feels like stuff that's out there, but it's a little new. And that was one of my biggest fears coming into agenting because instinct felt so vague. I was like,
Mhm.
whoa,
Mm.
there's like thousands. Will I be able to tell? How will I know what's good or not? What if I'm just
Mhm.
confused? But it turns out I'm not confused. Like when I'm reading, my guiding light is, do I want to keep reading? Which sounds so
Mhm.
basic, but that is literally it.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I could be reading a manuscript and the prose is gorgeous. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this author can turn a phrase. I'm going to put it down for the night, come back tomorrow. If I'm not excited to come back tomorrow and I find myself skimming, no, that's a no. Even if their prose is beautiful. Conversely, if their prose is struggling a bit, and I'm like, oh, our verb tenses aren't all consistent, there's the R apostrophes aren't correct, but I just want to keep going and kind of binge
Mhm.
it, I can work with that. So I think I have a bit of a rubric, which I don't think every agent has the same one. This is just the one that's worked for me of, am I drawn back? Do I want to finish it? if at any point it feels like a chore to finish it, it's going to be a thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can keep me invested until the last page, there is something there that is very hard to teach and very hard to edit towards, right? You can't edit towards, it's very hard to edit a book that doesn't
Yeah.
have propulsion into a book that has propulsion. I know more skilled people can do it. I don't know if I have that capacity or that vision. So I think going through my first year, I was willing to take on a lot of editing. If the book was like a read, I don't care what shape it's in or how much the prose needs tweaks or if it has 20,000 extra words, I'm going to sign it and we're going to fix it. And I think I knew I had no reputation. I had no sales, obviously, when I started. I needed to probably put in more elbow grease up front, get the reputation, get some reputable sales, become known for someone who sends out great submissions, all of the things that agents are working towards. So yeah, I went in with a very I'm going to edit my ass off. And I did. I mean, that first year was a little bit brutal. And I'm in no way saying that my clients don't write good prose. I don't want anyone to hear that. My clients are brilliant and write wonderfully. But I was willing to just take things on that I might not take on this year. And it's paid off. But I remember during some of these edits, because I was new, again, not because of my authors or their books, but because I was new, I did self-doubt. I was like, is this a mistake? I wasn't sure. That was just the strategy I had in my mind, was like elbow grease. And then we're just going to go. Instinct, elbow grease. Get it out the door, see what happens. And I sold every single heavy edit that I did with my clients, just one after the other. They just kept getting picked up. And I remember an editor saying on a call in an auction situation with, I think it was my third sale, which ended up being a 6-figure deal, which was very exciting as a baby agent. She was like, it's just so polished. And I just remember smiling and I didn't say anything, but thinking yeah, that was 2 weeks of my life down the drain. And it was worth it. And it would have been worth it if it didn't sell, because the author is so talented that she would have written the next thing and we would have sold that. It's fine. But I guess being willing to enter that gray zone of, I don't know if it'll be worth it, but I have a strong instinct and I have hours that I can spend on this. And that was year 1. And I mean, I'm going to do a post on my Substack soon, sometime in the next couple months, of how many books, what's the ratio of books that I've sent on submission to book sales. And I mean, of year 1, I think, oh my gosh, don't quote me, but you can cross-check it with my future post, because I'm just thinking of them. It was something like 18 books that I sent out, and I sold 12? Is that right? So I made 10 deals the first year, so 2 of them I did sell the following year. But it's a bit of an insane percentage,
That's
2/3 of the books
amazing.
I sent out. I don't think I'll be able to maintain that, for context. But I do think it was confirmation for me that I can trust my instincts, and if I put the work in, I can sell a lot of books. And so going into year 2, I kept we're going to keep with the instinct of do I want to keep turning pages? If so, it's a green light. But I don't want to do quite as much editing, because now I have a lot of clients that I've signed and I don't have as much time to sink into it.
Of course.
So I've tried to sign cleaner writing, and I have signed just prose that's a bit more ready, manuscripts that are a bit more polished. And to my immense pride and joy, those first-year authors with the heavy edits have since delivered gorgeous manuscripts that barely need any edits. And that was my other kind of, not even fear, but just something that I wondered about. Will all these edits help them level up? And the answer was yes.
Oh, wow.
One of my authors in particular, and I won't name her, but I mean, we worked so hard on that first book, and we sold it quickly in 3 weeks. And then she's since written 3 other books, and they barely need to be touched. I mean,
Unreal.
the development, the plot, the pacing, the prose, it's just, I've never seen someone grow so fast. Oh, I get emotional kind of thinking about it, because it's beautiful to watch people grow. And to know that some of that growth is because of my investment. And obviously their investment and their talent, but there is a collaborative aspect. And so it feels incredibly satisfying to watch them all rise to the next level. And then the other thing I'll say about how did I sell books is I go out very widely. I don't go out small. And maybe it sounds like a no-brainer, but I interned a few places and I have talked to many people, and there are agents who do send out very tiny rounds
Mm-hmm.
with very long spaces in between. I'm not saying that can never be a good strategy, but for a debut author, I don't find that to be a good strategy because editors are very slow reading. And especially if you're a new agent, they will be slower reading because they don't know who you
Yeah.
are yet. They will read,
Yeah.
but they're not going to prioritize you. I'll say it that way. So I think casting a really wide net, going out to US and UK at the same time is one of my big things.
Yeah.
I sell to a lot of UK editors, which I don't know. I didn't anticipate that, but here we are. So
Amazing.
going to like 30 editors on a first round is part of what I do. We're not going small. We're going to everyone in Big Five within the rules of the houses who would be a potentially good candidate. Plus, we're going to go to Source Books in Kensington and like all of the Abrams and Norton, like all of the big reputable indie houses. And we're going to see what happens. So I think not going slow, like let's punch that gas pedal, get this manuscript into everyone's inboxes because I'm going to trust the editorial work that the author and I have put in. As opposed to being too cautious about it and thus slowing down the process a lot, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That was
I
a long
totally.
answer.
No, but that I wish I had a pen, but I will obviously re-listen. That was incredible. That was like your ability to spa raw talent is essentially what you're saying too. And that's I feel like that's a gift, which then that really can't be taught. So that's amazing. But also your ability to get in there with the author and edit the hell out of that manuscript. I mean, that's so special too. And I'm an editorial agent, and I always say that I'm like spotting potential and like I want to work with you and make this the best it can be. And I remember hearing you say that you love that your reputation is that, when someone gets a manuscript from Jenna, it is very polished. And I always hear you in my head. I'm like, okay, I want this to be polished too. And the other thing I take from that is you're just getting things out the door. Like we're not sitting on things and having, writers wait for you. It's like you are getting things out the door. And I read that in your Substack too, that the one thing, what is going to get to a sale? Well, this book needs to be on submission, first of all. It can't just be sitting in my inbox.
So it's ready. Like, so an author, we've been doing we've been going back and forth with revisions over the past few weeks. And literally tonight, like probably 2 hours ago, she just sent me her red line on my red line that I sent her 2 days ago. And I think it's going to be there based on what we've gone through. I'm pretty sure this is the final version. So I told her, like, I'll go through it between tonight and tomorrow, and we'll go out tomorrow. Like, we're not,
amazing.
I'm
so
look
exciting.
it through. I have more notes. I will give her more notes. But assuming I look it through and everything is fine, like, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's it's a Friday. I'm not precious about what day of the week I go out. If it's ready, we're going out. And I haven't seen any difference between what sells and doesn't sell based on like, oh no, I submitted it on a Friday, so no one wanted to buy it. Like, that's just not true. And I think agents can very much get in their head about like, don't send on these days. And then we're getting too close to Thanksgiving. Screw it. Put it in their queue. Like, I don't know. I sold more things in December, right before the holidays, than I did like in the months prior. So
Unreal.
you can't predict what their work rhythms are going to be like. So just send it.
Yeah.
And they'll read it when they read it.
And I've been seeing lately a lot of different interviews where people are saying it matters so much who your agent is. And you've touched on this where, editors might give priority to certain agents. So as a new agent, how do you not let that discourage you? Because that's something that I've been thinking about a lot. How am I going to make a name for myself when I don't have, I haven't worked in a publishing house. I don't know editors yet.
Oh my gosh. So I just wrote another Substack about this. I have like a whole queue because I think it was on The Shit That No One Tells You About Writing. They were talking recently in an episode about, does your agent matter?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I heard that. And I had a lot of feelings in response to that episode. I'm not going to say I disagree with what they said, but I felt there was much more that could be said about it. And so I literally like, in my kind of like frenzy of like feelings after that, drafted like a whole newsletter, and I've been tweaking it ever since. I have like a whole queue of them, so we'll see when I actually release that. But I have very strong thoughts on that. So the question is, does your agent's name, reputation, I guess, matter in getting like in the size of your book deal and being able to sell your book and getting like the money? Does that make a difference? And the shit no one tells you about writing landed very firmly on yes. It really, really, really matters. And I agree and disagree, right? I feel everything in publishing, there's no yes or no. There's only nuance, lots and lots of nuance. So I land very firmly, spoiler for my future newsletter, on if you have done the invisible steps behind that deal, in other words, you signed the talent, right? You were fortunate enough to get them. You did a good job editing the manuscript. You wrote a good pitch. But, even if you write a crappy pitch, but the book is great, it could still fly. But you wrote a good pitch, we'll just say, you have a good submission strategy and list, which isn't rocket science. Everyone can have that. You go out to 30 editors in the US and UK who represent, who acquire that genre, and done. If you do all those steps well, it doesn't matter, what your name is will not make it a yay or nay on a sale of that book. Pitch is great. The manuscript is great. It will get bought. And by great, I should define, I'm talking about sellable. Plenty of great books do not get deals. So if we assume the same manuscript has the potential to sell, but two different agents have it, and one is new and one is a 10-year veteran, I believe that book will sell no matter which one handles it, as long as the work of those invisible steps is commensurate.
Right.
But their name won't make the ultimate difference. And I feel like I have receipts. Like, if you are dancing around on Publishers Marketplace, as we all do, snooping on each other's business, you'll find agents like Alex Land at Mad Woman Literary. And they just started like a year ago, and their first 3 deals were significant deals.
Yep.
And I touch on this in my newsletter. That means $250,000 or more, up to $499. So how does Alex come in and make 3 significant deals? My guess, without having talked to Alex or knowing Alex at all, is they signed a great book, and they probably did some good editing, and they wrote a great pitch, and they sent it out to the appropriate editors, which again, not rocket science, we can all find them. And the book sold because it was great. Done. And I think if those books had been in the hands of, I don't know, a Lauren Spiel or a Jim McCarthy, anyone at Park Fine and Brower, because they're all like mega, I don't know if there would have been any difference. I'd like to say no, but you could never know for sure, right? There's no apples to apples, because there's no actual litmus test where 2 different agents, one big and one small, come in with the same manuscript and sub it at the same time in the same market environment to the same editors. So in the end, it is just going to be a matter of opinion. But I have seen too many brand new agents come out of the gate swinging with amazing deals to believe that being new means you can't sell a book really well and really big. You absolutely can. Maddie Belton is another example at Madeline Milburn. Keir Alexei at Azantian Literary. They are
Keir's
like
amazing.
a rock star. I mean, there are just so many new agents who are absolute, like, I don't know, stars. And they just started very recently. So no, I think that's a bit of a myth. But conversely, if you suck, that will actually be problematic. Or if your agency sucks. I have asked editors face to face, I've been like, so, are there, do agents ever get blackballed? And I've been told very firmly, yes. Agents do get blackballed, but it would be an extreme scenario to get blackballed. You would have to be racist, misogynistic, impossible in negotiations, rude, dismissive. Like, if you're a decent human, it's going to be fine. Not all agents are decent humans. So I guess don't sign with them. And that's where whisper networks have to come to our aid, because no one is outing people publicly, for better and for worse. I think there's 2 sides to that coin. But I mean, I could name agents right now who are terrible, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to ruin my career and get sued. So there is kind of that vulnerability of we don't want to out the bad actors, but they are out
Mhm.
Yeah.
there, and we each have our whisper networks. Editors talk to each other, agents talk to each other, writers talk to each other. And so
Yeah.
having access to those is very helpful.
It seems to me like just putting in the time is the differentiator, and putting in that time quickly, not making your
Mhm.
client wait months before they get a round of edits, quick turnaround. Let's get you on sub. Let's nudge. Let's do all we have to do to make sure
Yeah.
that a deal happens. And, the thing is, that comes with a very certain personality type. And not all people are like that. And that's okay. But that just
Yeah.
means that people that, are not as likely to check in, are not as likely to push, or not as likely to do things quickly, are probably less likely to be star agents like
Yeah,
yourself.
I would agree. Yeah. Well, I'm not a star. Thank you. But no, I think you're right. I think there is kind of that, I'm going to call it hustle mindset,
Yeah.
but there's
Mhm.
just that little fire in the gut. And, when something is ready, you're just burning to get it out. Like that is in my internal engine all the time of
Yeah.
I can feel the potential of all these projects, and the second they're out of the
Mhm.
oven, we are eating. Like, we're sending them out.
Yeah.
We're sharing the buns. We're the croissants. I don't know. The analogy never even began enough to fall apart. But sorry, it's late. I had a long day.
No,
My
this
brain
is
is like
amazing.
a mash
Oh my
of
gosh.
metaphors that don't even make sense. But yeah, I agree with you. The personality, I think, has to be there for
Mhm.
being
Yeah.
someone who gets excited by checking things off the list a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit, if that makes
Oh yeah.
sense.
Oh my gosh, we
I don't
love
know.
Mhm.
lists. Lauren and
We
I are
love
always
them.
making
Oh,
Yeah. You're speaking my
yes.
language.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if this kind of go-getter attitude came from your time in a corporate role. Did that inspire you, having to balance all these competing priorities and manage your time and, several different projects at a time? Did that kind of inspire this, or is this just how you were born and wired?
I'm I was born and wired. I am fast. I think that's an advantage I have
Mhm.
in this industry as a human. I guess it's not like a virtue. I don't think everyone can be fast, but my family has laughed at me from day one about just like playing cards. My hands move fast. I was like a classical guitar major for a while. Like my fingers move fast. Um, like that sounds so silly, but I type fast. Like I can shoot emails off like it's nobody's business. And I really think that in this juggling multiple jobs and trying to turn things around quickly, just being a quick person, I can usually synthesize thoughts very quickly. I can read a book and immediately I could tell you editorial notes verbally. I don't have to process, it's there. So
Yeah.
I think having that kind of I don't even know what to call it, mental quickness, which is not the same thing as intelligence. And it's
Mhm.
funny because my husband and I talk about this a lot. He's has a PhD in Northwestern and like history. He's a very intelligent human, but his brain is slow. It's slow, but it hangs on to things forever. Mine is quick, but then it's gone. So I can give you my editorial notes right now because I just read the book, but like in 2 weeks, I will not remember anyone's name from that manuscript. Like even client manuscripts, I'll be like, no idea what their names are. That's gone. So I think just everyone's brain type is different. And for me with agenting, I think I'm assisted by this just, I don't know, it's
Mhm.
just a quick churner. Um, yeah, I think the go getter attitude is also very, I would say I like to have stability, which is ironic because agenting is not stable. So I'm very motivated to try to build it up to where at least it feels stable, where there's enough royalties coming in and a large enough stable of clients who are regularly writing books that I can feel stable. And I think that will take a very long time, maybe a decade. But
Mm.
I love it so much that I want to put the work in to achieve, and I might not achieve it. I'm not assuming that I will, but the dream would be to really be able to like chill. Does this make any sense? Like to not worry
Yeah,
about money. That's why I've been a
100%.
corporate girl for 20 years, is because I have not had to worry about money. I make the paycheck, it's fantastic, provides for the family. So the agenting go-getter is like, oh, here's something I really enjoy doing. Can I make this as stable
Mm.
as this? by just sheer, like, I don't know, grit plus a decade.
Well, I think that it says a lot that you are opening for queries for one day, tomorrow, actually, coincidentally,
Oh,
for
yeah,
one
you're ready.
day.
Oh,
And
I'm scared.
that's it. And that's going to be enough. That's, to someone that's just thinking of starting out as an agent, that's incredible. One day, and that's enough to get you. People are waiting. I know for a fact that people are waiting.
Bless them. Thank you if you're one of
It's
those people.
incredible. It's
It's
incredible.
very humbling, honestly. Yeah.
It is incredible. But also, what you're saying is so true. And that's why agenting, it really isn't for the faint of heart. And that's why I think doing internships are so important. I remember hearing you say that on a podcast, how you did an internship to make sure you actually enjoyed it. And I really took that to heart. I was like, I don't want to sign clients and realize this isn't for me. And
Right.
this job, and I actually said this to someone yesterday who I was giving an offer to a chef, and she was like, "So do I hire you?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't make money until I sell this book." And she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh," like she was shocked. I mean, we are
Oh,
truly doing this for I know, it was so sweet.
yeah.
But we're truly doing this for free and like out of a love for books and for authors and for creation. Like it is truly a love. And I've heard from so many people how just challenging the first few years are because you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're not getting
Yeah.
authors a lot of times and you're not getting deals a lot of times. And it's just like, it is really a job that you just have to keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
And and so what you've accomplished so far, I say it's going to be less than a decade. That's my
I
prediction.
mean,
Yeah.
Saying it now.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please speak it into existence for me.
I would love to dive into your books, actually, because
yeah.
I know we've taken up so much of your time.
I
We haven't even talked about the books yet. They're so good. I started with Made for You, which I've never read a book with an AI character before, and that was so neat. And then Beachbody/Killer Getaway. Oh my gosh, I was hooked from the beginning, completely hooked. And most recently, The New Year's Party. Are you kidding? How did you write? No, seriously. Okay, this is my question. How did you write all of those perspectives and make them all sound different? I was analyzing the book to try to figure out, and all I could come up with is that Doug swore a lot and Olivia sounded a bit more literary. That's it. How did you do this? How?
And keep them straight. Like, my goodness.
Right?
Oh my God. Well, I will never write a book with so many points of view again. I'm not going to say that's a promise, but I think that one, I kept them straight because I'm going to say that book felt more personal and drawn from real life to me. And so the people were modeled after types of people that I've known that I've thought about for many, many years. So I grew up in Spain. My husband grew up in Northwest Indiana. So my parents have since left Spain. So I have like no home to go back to, or like there's no way to touch base unless I do a vacation, which I haven't, with where I grew up and my high school friends and kind of that vibe. But my husband has really stayed in touch with his high school people in Northwest Indiana. And so I've returned with him. We started dating when we were 18. I'm 42 now. So for however many years that is, 24 years, I've been going to that area of the world with him. And I've just absorbed a little bit of the culture and how people talk and what the different issues are. And, I think that region has struggled. It's known by some as the Rust Belt. Some people have bucked against that phrase for reasons. But it is deindustrialized. It used to be like a lot of steel, and a lot of steel left the area. There's some left, but it was kind of like a blue-collar town, but where everyone had stability, and then the stability went away. And so it's an area that's riddled with drugs and drama and honestly, like just human tragedy, in my opinion. So I wanted to write a book about that area. So unlike writing an AI character, which I just kind of made up, or unlike writing like a serial killer main character who travels to a resort every summer, which I also just made up from the murderous joy of my heart, this was more about not real people, because the characters are 100% characters that I made up. They're not real people that I put into the book at all. Need to say that for the for legal reasons, but also because that's the truth.
Yeah.
But it's just drawn from 2 decades of personal experience and meeting a lot of people and talking to a lot of people and thinking about why, you know, why are these lives falling apart? Why are we struggling with X, Y, or Z? Why are we staying with this person who's toxic? Why are we?
Yeah.
And just wondering, not even from like a judgmental, but just I want to understand what these lived experiences are like for people going through all these things, or going from having a 4.0 in high school to being the drug dealer for the town. Like
Yeah.
academic potential to like, that's really the story of a lot of people and my husband sometimes. So I wanted to write that story, and I think I did put a little bit of myself into Olivia, who's one of the, I don't know, the book doesn't really have main characters, but we start with her point of view. I am not like her at all, and her story is not mine. She was a little bit of my stand-in for, I was in real life the friend who came in from the outside. I was the girlfriend of my of my now husband, and then I was the wife and a little bit of the outsider observing. And I did get called prim and proper by someone in real life, which shows up in the book. So I did put that in there. I mean, I was middle class and a lot of them were working class. There was a class difference. And I've also spent 2 decades analyzing that with my husband because he grew up working class and I grew up middle class. Even though our incomes, like our family's income, were very similar, my family didn't actually have a lot of money. We got like donated clothes from my cousins to like... And so when we started dating, I thought, oh, we're the same because we had about the same amount of money and we both had not enough. And then I realized that class is actually not about money strictly. There's like a whole culture happening and there's like a mindset and an outlook. And so we've been learning about each other for 2 decades and dealing with these kind of very different perspectives that we come at the world with. Because of our class backgrounds. And so anyway, this is a long way of saying I wanted to explore that in the book. So it did feel more personal. Like I'm going to explore middle class and working class and the different concerns and bring some of those tensions between the characters of not understanding each other's lives and judging each other. And it was a lot of fun. So I don't know. How did their voices turn out different? Because they just each felt so distinct in my head. I could like hear them talking, and that does not always happen to me when I'm writing. I could just hear what their voices sounded like.
Yeah.
And I just almost transcribed. It was quite magical, actually, for that book.
And it's just it's so authentic. Even like the things that they said, I love. I think it was it Helly who, oh no, was it Bunny who kept saying, "Hey guys, have you heard of this weird pandemic? Have you heard of this like flu thing?" That I loved it. I loved it. I can't. No,
Thank
it's
you.
so
That's
great.
very kind. Yeah.
And do you kind of, I guess, interweaving the 2 topics that we've discussed, do you find that your work as an agent has propelled your writing? Do you find that your writing has helped your work as an agent? And I know we touched on this earlier, but I just wanted to kind of dive a bit deeper into it.
For sure, my work as an author has helped me agent. I think that's why I'm a strong line editor, is because I have written a lot of books and gone through the editorial process as well with my agent and then with my various editors in the US and the UK. And so I can bring, I guess, that level of expectation to kind of my clients' manuscripts and make sure that we kind of get to that point where I know an editor would be happy with it because I've worked with them before, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I think my work as an agent has not necessarily helped my work as an author. I would say it's probably hindered it, which I'm fine with. I want to give more space to the agenting. That is my career. Authoring for me is like extra unstable and very much on the side. And maybe it can edge up a little, but no, it's not going to be somewhere that I plant my feet on because gosh, you can't count on any kind of success continuing, even if you're lucky enough to have that success to start with. I would say agenting takes just so much of my time and energy. And I want to give it that time and energy that writing feels more like a chore, something that I have to force myself to do. There's even a book I'm drafting now just because I need to write something new. I'm about to be out of contract and I need more books to go on submission. So I started drafting an idea I've had for a long time. But I started drafting it over Christmas because that was the one time I took off from agenting and told myself, we're not going to agent. We're going to check email because we must. But, we're not going to read manuscripts and do edits. Everything is kind of going to go on pause except for anything urgent. And I was like, oh, let's explore this book. And then it was like delightful. And then I came back to agenting and like I've barely touched it since. So I think just in terms of the pie of my life, I love agenting so much that necessarily the author part has to give a little bit,
Yeah.
which is fine. I'm actually at peace with that.
No, that
now.
makes total sense. And for my writing, I've been writing from like 6 to 7 a.m. and then I put it away,
Oh,
and then the rest of the time is agenting. But that's okay.
yeah.
I mean, I can imagine myself as a full-time agent with writing on the side. I can't imagine myself just as like a full-time author. Like I need the
Right.
variety,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Same.
so much variety in the agenting. And I'm wondering, when you're coming up with book ideas, do you feel like as free just to come up with book ideas as you once did, or are you constantly now like, well, the market is looking for this, and I saw this on Published Marketplace, and what's selling now?
So not to that extent, but somewhat. I would say
Okay.
it's less because of becoming an agent and more because of having a book deal. So once you get a book deal, you're in a genre. If it's a 2-book deal, your editor will want something that the same readership is interested in because they want you to build your fan base. So Made for You was the first thriller I wrote. Prior to that, it was fantasy, women's fiction,
Wow.
young adult mystery, like just a ton of other stuff. So I was like, oh, I guess I gotta write another mystery or thriller. So I wrote The New Year's Party. Actually, that's not true. I wrote The New Year's Party before selling Made for You, but with an eye on, if I sell Made for You, I'm gonna need another, so I might as well start it now. And then I was lucky to have both of those with HarperCollins. Um, and now I've got the 2 books with Penguin Random House UK, and they're also in the mystery thriller. So that is what my brain now is just doing. I'm like, okay, I am now a mystery thriller writer. And my brain just has been producing mystery thriller ideas, which is fine. I love mystery and thrillers. I love reading them. Writing them is super fun. So yeah, I don't feel quite as free as before, but I don't need to feel free all the time to have fun with something. I think it's okay to have constraints. I think that happens as soon as it's a business. And you either accept that or you don't, and we're gonna accept that, and it's gonna be fine. I could try to reboot and do like a pseudonym, go back to my fantasy, but like my agent has subbed all those and we couldn't sell them. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
based on what I've done already, it makes sense to keep writing thrillers as long as I have fun ideas, which I do. I have lots of fun ideas still for them. So it's also not like, oh, I'm forcing myself to write to market even though I don't want to. No, like I've got a million ideas for other thrillers and mysteries. My brain is like an idea factory. So why not keep doing that, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Speaking of pseudonyms, I was always curious as to why you write under Sienna Sharp.
Yeah, so that was a funny little that's a funny little story. But the short version is that opportunity for that book deal came about before Made for You was published. I had made the book deal in like May of, oh gosh, I can't calculate years, 2023, I think. And then an opportunity came up in the fall where my agent sibling texted me or direct messaged me a screenshot of a tweet from an editor at PRH UK who was like, I'm looking for someone, like I need a thriller romance for my list, hello, something. I don't remember the tweet, but something like that. And she was like, oh, this sounds like you, do you want to connect? And I remember thinking, I don't know if I'm allowed to connect because I kind of have a book deal already, but maybe I'll just do it anyway. And if my agent tells me we have to stop, then we'll stop. So Lauren and I talked, and we had some conversations with the editor, and I was like, oh, I could write this. So I wrote like a sample, and she loved it. Her team loved it. We had talked about, she wanted it to be a romance. So she was also like, I think this should be a pseudonym. Your other line with HarperCollins is thrillers, because we told her, like, there are these other books and they're this. And she's like, well, this is different. This is a romance. The cover is going to be like Emily Henry, except with murder. So completely different than what you're doing. Hint, hint, not so different. Whatever. Totally different genre. Not the same at all. So at some point in that process, we did talk to my editor at HarperCollins. We're like, hey, there's this opportunity. It would be under a different name. It's in the UK. I don't know. Is that fine? And she was like, sure, whatever. And I was like, yes. So it was just a bit of like an awkward, like a bit of a weird way for a deal to happen. But I sold that on proposal and then had to write the book, which was very fun. And then they gave me another book deal for some reason, which is great. And then the second book, which comes out this summer, was complete misery to write. So every book is different.
And every book comes to you in different ways. Like, I love, thank you for asking that, Tolly, because like, I love that authors listening will get to hear that. It's not always you query, get an agent, get a book deal. Like, there are different ways. Olivia Minter came on the show, and she told us a similar story where her first book, Such About Influence, was like a connecting with an editor, and they had this idea. And so it is interesting to hear these different ways to publication.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. It's fascinating. And I don't think you know them when you're kind of new to the scene. It seems like there is the one path. You write a book, sign with an agent, then they sell your book. And especially once you have some books under your belt and you're a known factor and people know you are able to write a book and deliver it, there can be more fluidity in how it comes about. Some editors are very, especially in the UK, aggressive about like, we have this hole on our list that we want to fill. And it's kind of fun. I think, I don't know, publishing is just such a branchy tree, right?
Yep. Yeah.
When you start, you think it's just the trunk, and then you climb high and you're like, oh shit, there's like a lot of bifurcations. There are lots of possibilities, and there are a lot of roadblocks. So thank God there are other branches you can leap to if you're like a little squirrel, which I think for longevity, you've got to be the squirrel. You can't stay on the same branch forever.
Yeah.
Runs out at some point, and you've got to be able to leap, to pivot. And I think a lot of authors who've been in the game for a long time, notably J.T. Ellison on her amazing Substack and Kristen Bird on her Substack, talk about being able to pivot. And that is the key to continuing to publish books for many, many, many years instead of just for a couple years or a few years. You've got to switch directions, switch names, different genre, like different style. You can't do that. It's fine, and you don't have to do that, but it might just be a shorter branch, and then the journey might end sooner, I think.
Be a sad squirrel.
Yeah.
Okay, I know we've been on for so long, but I would just love to ask one last thing, and then maybe if Lauren has.
This is so fun. I could talk for hours.
I know.
Oh my
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? Okay, let's keep going. I'm down.
Stay up all night, guys.
Let's do it. We'll pay tomorrow, but that's a future self's problem. So
Exactly. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm wondering. Well, I guess I have two questions. So my first is, which of your books did you enjoy writing the most? And my second is, what are your favorite books in general? Who are your favorite authors?
Oh my gosh. Those are very hard questions. Darn it.
I'm sorry.
Great questions, though.
They are great questions. Favorite book. I think I do want to, before I say like what my favorite book is, I just want to say, for anyone writing books, I've heard this from authors further down the line than me who've been in it for longer. And so I feel confirmed in what I already knew, which is each book is its own experience, and it's like you're starting again. It's not like you write a book and then it's easier because you already figured out how to write a book. Oh no. Each one is a struggle in its own way. Each one is a whole learning experience. And it doesn't make it easier to have done it before. I think it makes it easier to self-edit. I'll say that. Like, there are skills that you grow in, but I don't think it becomes magically easy. So my easy books to write are not the most recent. Like, they're kind of interspersed. There'll be one that's easy and one that's like a real bitch. And You just never know which one it's going to be when you start. So it's a little scary sometimes, or exciting, depending on if you're feeling risky. Like, is this one going to kick me in the ass, or is this one going to be good? Well, you'll find out. So I think fun, I would say Beachbody's Killer Getaway was one of the most fun.
That was fun. That was a fun read.
Like, I sold it on proposal, like I said, in mid-December of 2023. And I think I had to deliver it by like end of March, which for me was plenty of time. It was like the winter. It was very cold in Chicago. There was snow. I don't know. And so I just remember that season as like, piling blankets on myself and like getting my laptop out and writing the Murder on the Beach. My husband would like edit my scenes after I wrote them and like supply all his commentary on how to fix my appalling flirtatious dialogue, which I'm very bad at. He'd be like, no, that sucks. Here's what he needs to say. And I would just like literally type what he said. Because I just can't write sexiness, guys. I have authors who write sex great and flirtation and that chemistry. I just struggle. I'm better at death. Like, give me murder any day. But if these two people need to fall in love, I don't know if I can do that. It's very hard. So he was a very fun editor, and we had like a really fun season of marriage because of that. Like, it was just fun to collaborate a bit and get his insight. So yeah, I'm gonna say that book was the most fun.
That's
Favorite
amazing.
authors on the thriller side, I'm obsessed with Lisa Jewell. I haven't read that much by her, but I just read oh my gosh, what's the one about None of This Is True.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
Podcast.
Her writing is
It's so
elevated.
She's one of my favorite authors.
I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, her prose is chef's kiss. The pacing is perfect. Everything about this book is perfect. Ah! Like, why can't I write this book? That pisses me off. Like,
I know. Oh my gosh, I hate that when I'm reading a book. Oh, I know. Like, I'm never gonna be this good.
Do you remember?
Stop it!
You need to get an ARC if you haven't already of her newest, because I got one on NetGalley. I dropped everything to read it, and if you love Lisa Jewell, you will love this book because it is like classic Lisa Jewell. Like, I feel like a couple of hers like stray from her classic. This is like, I was actually telling Tali about this. It's weird. Like, it's that weird Lisa Jewell where you're just like, you're so weird. I love this so much. Like, it gets very weird. Like, did you ever read Then She Was Gone? Okay.
No, I have not read the Lisa Jewell catalog.
Okay. It is one of the weirdest books to this day I've ever read. I think about it constantly. Like, it is so haunting, but it was my gateway drug, and then I read every single book by her.
I love it.
So I would recommend reading that one. It is one of the weirdest books I've ever read. But
I'm gonna go on to NetGalley.
Yeah,
as soon as
Twisted.
This is over.
She has such a twisted mind, and I'm obsessed with it.
I love Twisted Minds. Yeah. Eliza Jane Brazier. You guys read anything by her? Her debut was If I Disappear. And then she also did Good Rich People. Is that what it's called?
I have not read these,
like,
but
Girls on Horses. I forget the title. But If I Disappear is stunning.
Ooh,
I am obsessed. It is just
so up my alley. Okay.
It's twisted.
Amazing.
It's unreliable narrator done well.
Oh,
where
you're
deep in someone's mind and you're like, whoa, this is a sick place at times. But like, you really get into it. She's brilliant. She's very good.
Oh, yeah, I will be reading this. Yeah, me too.
My TBR is like out of control, but I don't care.
I could show you guys. I'm looking at it. It's literally 1, 2, 3, 4 stacks of books that come up to my waist that are all next to my nightstand, extending down the wall. And occasionally my husband says, "Are you ever going to deal with all those books?" And I just look at him in despair. I have no answer. How am I supposed to answer that? Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, but I love Alex Harrow. My gosh.
Oh, I love her. I've read all
debut.
her books. So good.
I have not read all of them because I'm out of time. I can't read for pleasure anymore. Literally, actually, pause. the only time I read for pleasure in all of 2025 was the 2 weeks of Christmas and New Year's.
No.
And it was because I said, no
Oh.
manuscripts. I will not read manuscripts for
Oh
my
my
clients or queries.
gosh.
I'm just going to read for pleasure. And I read like 8 books for pleasure. And I was like in my happy place.
That's
But I was also realizing
amazing.
I have not read a single book for pleasure all year. It's been client work, queries, or for
Wow.
blurbs because I blurb things now
Oh.
as an author, which is fun. Like you read them in advance and that's great. But like I have not chosen what I've read. And it was great to get a break from that. But now we're back to the like inundation of books that I have a responsibility to read, which is also wonderful, but not the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all that to say, I've not read all of Alex Sarah's books, but I adored her debut, 10,000 Days of January. Like that is one of my favorite books of all time. I've bought it from multiple people that I know where I'm just like,
Oh,
you need to
wow.
own this.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm sure there are more authors, but I think I love reading across genres, which is why I like agenting across genres. And I just wish I had time to keep up because, again, all of these reads for pleasure were a long time ago. But I did recently enjoy from my Christmas New Year's binge, Too Old for This, a phrase I've said multiple times on this podcast. But Too Old for This is a wonderful thriller by Samantha Downing, I think. And the cover is iconic. It's like an old woman. Her back is facing and she's holding like a hammer. I think it's a hammer. It's this old serial killer lady.
Oh, I love that.
She was a serial killer her whole life, but she hasn't recently because she's ancient. But then her past comes to haunt her and she has to start freaking killing people again, which is difficult because her bones hurt and she has to move bodies around. And it is so dark, but so funny. And also you're so deep in her mind and it's just wonderful. I devoured that in like less than 24 hours over Christmas. Brilliant.
Oh, I love that.
Anyway, I could keep going, but I'll stop because
Great.
books that I loved is like, that's my life. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. No, my TBR is the size of my lifespan, but I mean, I am always looking.
Same. We can't help it. It's not our fault.
What can I do? There are so many good books, and that, not to get too depressing, but it makes me sad sometimes that I won't be able to physically read all the books.
Know.
Yeah.
I know, me too. We're gonna die without having read them all.
Right?
But that's why it's okay to DNF. I always say life's too short.
Yeah. It's true.
Life is too short.
It's true.
Reading. if you're not happy.
It's so true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we've covered everything. I don't think there's anything we haven't talked about.
We've done it all.
Oh my gosh, this was truly so good. Thank you so much, Jenna.
So fun.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure.
And thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. And remember to check back next Tuesday for a new episode of the Prose Pros podcast.